Okay, this is the second video on the order of operations part 1. In the first video, we discussed in detail what the order of operations were, what PEMDAS is, and the different symbols that represent the parentheses or multiplication and division. And in this video, we're going to practice solving expressions using the order of operations. So you still need your notes. As we go through, make sure you're doing all the steps exactly as I'm doing them. I'm going to be very particular when it comes to your homework. There's certain things that I want to see in your homework and I expect to see it. If I don't see it, then you're not going to get the credit. Okay, our first example is 7 squared plus 6 divided by 3. The first thing you always want to do whenever you're solving an order of operations problem is you need to write your PEMDAS. Somewhere on your paper you should write PEMDAS. So I'm going to do mine down here. P comes first for parentheses or your grouping symbols. Then you have your exponents, step 2. And your multiplication and division are the same step, and it goes from left to right. So I'm going to write it like that. And the same is true for your addition and subtraction. Left to right, like you're reading a book. Okay, we're ready to get started. First step, parentheses or grouping symbols. Do I have any grouping symbols in my example? I do not. So I can move to step 2, which is exponents. And I do have an exponent here. Now when we're solving, we're only going to solve one step at a time. And whatever it is that you're solving first, or in that particular step, you need to identify it. And you can identify it by underlining it, 7 squared. Or if you want to, if you have a highlighter, you can highlight what you're going to do. But either way, the first step I'm going to do is my 7 squared. And remember, 7 squared does not mean 7 times 2. It means 7 repeated with multiplication. It's repeated addition or repeated multiplication. 7 repeated twice. 7 times 7, which is 49. So when I solve it, I'm going to write the solution underneath it. Now I haven't done anything with the plus 6 divided by 3. And I'm not going to do anything with it right now except for bring it down. Okay, everything that is not underlined or is not highlighted, I'm going to bring straight down. Plus 6 divided by 3. Okay, now I have a new problem. I'm on line 2. And I have a multiplication or addition and a division symbol. So coming down here, there were no more exponents. Multiplication and division comes first. So I would need to do the division. You're going to identify the step that you're solving. You can underline it, or if you have a highlighter, you can highlight it. I'm going to do 6 divided by 3 first. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I'm going to write that answer underneath it. Whatever's not underlined or not highlighted, I'm going to bring straight down. So I haven't done anything to the 49 or the plus symbol. And now I have one last operation to do, 49 plus 2. So I'm going to either underline it, or you can highlight it and solve it. 49 plus 2 is 51. Now that I have my answer, you need to make sure that you clearly identify your answer. You can circle it, you can put a box around it, do something so that you can clearly see the answer. The answer is 51. Let's do the next example. Okay, again, look at your PEMDAS. Do we have any parentheses or grouping symbols? We do. We have this grouping symbol right here. And inside this grouping symbol, we have 2 cubed plus 4. So there's multiple operations inside the parentheses. There's an exponent and there's an addition. When you have multiple operations inside a grouping symbol, you still follow the order of PEMDAS. There are no other grouping symbols inside this parentheses, so I move on. There is an exponent. So I'm going to underline it, or if you want to, you can highlight it. And I'm going to solve 2 cubed first. Now, if you have the bad habit of saying 2 times 3 is 6 when dealing with your exponents, then write it out. Go to the side of your paper and say, okay, 2 cubed. That is 2 repeated 3 times. The operation is multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 cubed is 8. So now that I've solved my exponent, Everything else stays the same. Okay, I haven't done anything to the 24, I bring it down. I haven't done anything with this division symbol, I bring it down. The parentheses, I bring down. I solved the 2 cubed, so that's 8. I haven't done anything with the 4, the plus or the 4, and my closed parentheses. Now keep going. Are we done with the parentheses? No. We still have this 8 plus 4 inside the parentheses, so that's what we need to solve next. 8 plus 4 is 12. Bring down the 24, bring down the division because I didn't do anything with them. And of course you could have, I underlined mine, but you could have highlighted, that's fine. Now some people ask, do I need to keep my parentheses? Once you've solved everything inside the parentheses and you're left with a numerical value, no, you do not need to keep it inside parentheses. But if it's a negative, I would suggest keeping it inside parentheses just so you can see clearly that it is negative. Okay, so now we have 24 divided by 12. The last step is the division. Underline it, or you could highlight it. And 24 divided by 12 is 2. Make sure you put a circle around your answer, put a box around it, and that's how we solve that. So really, it's all taking one step at a time, making sure you go through the order of operation steps by looking at your PEMDAS. Next one, 2 plus, and here we have a grouping symbol, 7 squared minus 15 plus 11. So let me write down my PEMDAS. P is for grouping symbols, E is for exponents. Multiplication and division goes from left to right, and addition and subtraction goes from left to right. And now we're ready to solve. Okay, grouping symbols. Yes, we have 7 squared minus 15. So we have an exponent and we have a subtraction. So what goes first? The exponent. So I'm going to do my 7 squared. Again, 7 squared does not mean 7 times 2. It means 7 repeated twice in the operation's multiplication. So 7 times 7 is 49. So underneath the 7 squared, I'm going to write 49. That was the first step. You do one thing only. Bring down everything else. Whatever's not underlined, or if you highlighted whatever's not highlighted, you need to bring down. So I'm going to bring down the 2 times the parentheses, bring down the minus 15, parentheses, plus 11. Now we have a new problem. What are we going to do here? Parentheses, do we still have parentheses? Yes. 49 minus 15. So we need to take care of this first. What is 49 minus 15? 34. Bring down everything else, 2 times, do I need to keep the parentheses? You don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. I haven't done anything with the plus 11, so I bring it straight down. Now I have a new problem. Okay, my parentheses were done. Do I have any exponents? No. Multiplication and division. Well, going from left to right, I have multiplication right here. 2 times 34. So we're going to perform that first. What is 2 times 34? 68. Bring down everything else that's not underlined or not highlighted, plus 11. And then the last step is going to be your addition. 68 plus 11 is 79. Circle or put a box around your answer, and you're done. So what I'd like for you to do is to pause the video and solve the next example on your own, and then come back and check to see how you did. Okay, here we go. PEMDAS, parentheses. We do have parentheses. We have a subtraction and we have an exponent. So PEMDAS says the exponent comes first. So I want to do my 4 squared. And 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. I still have the parentheses, 20 minus 16, close the parentheses, bring down the times 3 minus 7. I'm still working in my parentheses, so 20 minus 16 is 4. Bring down the times 3 minus 7. Okay, I'm done with parentheses. There are no exponents on this problem. So multiplication and division comes next, left to right. So if I go left to right, I see that there is a multiplication, 4 times 3. I'm going to solve that first. 4 times 3 is 12. Bring down the minus 7. And the last step is the subtraction. 12 minus 7 is 5. And there's your answer. Okay, now I want everybody to take a look at this next problem. This one's a little bit different. As you'll notice, it's in fraction form. There's a numerator and there's a denominator. And both numerator and denominator have operations. So we talked about this in the first video, video 1, that if you have a numerator or denominator, they each act as their own grouping symbol. So we need to solve whatever is in the numerator, and then we need to solve whatever in the denominator. So the way I usually do this is I give myself a little bit of room. And I say, okay, let me start with the numerator. I'm going to solve it first. You're still going to do PEMDAS. Are there any parentheses in the numerator? Yes, right here, 3 plus 5. So let me add 3 plus 5 together, and I get 8. Then I'm going to write the times 3 because I haven't done anything with that yet. Now I have a new problem, and the problem is just 8 times 3. And 8 times 3 equals 24. So my numerator is going to be 24. Let's figure out the denominator. No parentheses in the denominator, but I do have an exponent, 3 squared. It's not 3 times 2, it's 3 times 3, which is 9. And I'll bring down my minus 5. And the last step is to actually subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. So my denominator is a 4. So now I have 24 over 4. And I do have one more operation left. Remember the fraction bar. What does it mean to do? It means to divide. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. And that is your final answer. So recapping, when you have operations in the numerator, you need to solve them using PEMDAS. If you have operations in the denominator, you solve them using PEMDAS. Then the last step would be to do what the fraction bar says to do, which is to divide. Okay, you're now ready for your independent practice. Good luck.